stepping into our power and sovereignty. In that moment, we will be tested. We will be tested by those whom we think to be our friends, think to be our community, think to be our family, think to be our religion, our belief systems, think to be the structures that initially gave us support. But we must think outside the box. We must come into the awareness of who we truly are by dissolving any illusions, any belief systems that are based on indoctrination, any false friends, any untruth in structures of family dynamics, any untruth in structures of our own habits, what may be beneficial, what may be detrimental. In all these things, we must strike a balance. In my life, I have come to experience a number of aspects within an inner circle that I found was not assisting me to stay in my sovereignty or in my truth or in the knowing and support of who and that which I am. It took a lot of introspection, self-control, meditation, grounding, some counsel, and lots of different ways that I can pull from my wellness toolbox to center myself in that which I know is true. One example is that I had an opportunity with a friend, so-called friend, to co-host on a podcast for revealing truths. But each time I would participate in a group call, each time I had called on an individual basis, there were aspects that I knew to be a truth and integral that were trying to be chipped away for the sake of argument, for the sake of debate, which is not truly debate. Debate in its integrity is looking at aspects that we have not seen and have not explored. It's not a disregard for some aspect of truth or patterning. It is not arguing for the sake of taking away certain things that are integral. And I found in order to defend myself, it was lowering my vibration. And I wasn't going to be voluntarily spending my time, my energy, my resources, and sharing certain universal truths when each time I knew I had to defend universal truths. It did not assist me to come into the peace and the love and the calm of which I am. So that podcast ended in co-creation with that person who wanted to remain combative in issues that I did not find worthy of my time. I also had another instance where I was in a position to volunteer time to be a firekeeper at a local Inipi Moon ceremony. I wanted to contribute more to a safe place to pray. And I found interference in that scenario because the people that perform that ceremony continue to speak out of their own trauma bonds, dividing races, seeing a person as a white man rather than a soul in a body, needing help but not wanting help because they couldn't have everything that they wanted, whereas the best that I could offer was what I could give at that location. They stated that they wanted firekeepers that could go as far as Ohio, leave all weekend, stay till wee hours, and be ready for the next weekend to do the same thing. That demand and workload would be detrimental to my trade, in which I hold space for the elderly to perform activities of daily living, namely baths and showers, to hospice patients that have severe physical, mental, emotional, spiritual issues, and holding that space with as much grace, awareness, attentiveness, and safety as I possibly can. These are two scenarios in which my integrity was tested. I hold true to my integrity in my word, and I offered assistance for them to build another Inipi Moon lodge. And so I bought supplies to bring and assist them. I came at the time that they requested, only to find I was the only person who arrived at that time while the house was quiet and no one was there to greet me. I left my belongings that I promised because my word has weight. And I left the site. I will not contribute my time and my assets anymore to that community that hold no value from my offerings when I came in peace, that failed to see the integrity of the Hopi prophecy in the Rainbow Tribe that should come together at this time to support one another and to move into unity consciousness. I oppose the way that the ceremony was held and the disregard for people, not only myself, but for others who have left and have not come back because their feelings were hurt. The White Buffalo Calf woman had created that ceremony so the men could experience a purification rite by having a womb to cleanse themselves in and to help them to attain enlightenment. In this ceremony, it was open for men and women, and there were many times when the pipe holders, the chieftains, would pour way too much water on the hot stones, creating a difficulty in even breathing, where people were having to lower their heads to the earth. They saw it as a method of suffering for the sake of people that are not suffering. It's an inversion. It's supposed to be a purification rite. Those that are inside the lodge are actually detoxing and purifying their body. There was a overindulgence in the ceremony where they were disregarding the people. And without the people, the ceremony would not take place. It would not have even been created in the first place by an ascended master to help the men to purify their bodies. When we step into our sovereignty and our power, we step into our truth. We step into the calmness and the peace that we are. I did not interact with ill intent, but I also understand that their hospitality in that community also prevents people from entering the house, where everyone should be associated and gathering in their backyard. For the incumbency of presence and being invited to their property, but not welcomed in their house, not even allowing a offering in a small container to be kept in their refrigerator because there was no room. Not even allowing a backpack that took 1 square foot of space in the corner of their room to be left there, whereas they had inherited a larger home than the one room home that they had in a yurt. They were acting out of entitlement and pride rather than humility, unity consciousness, integrity, and love. I say that they had more integrity and love and more humility when a 5-member family lived in one yurt than when they moved into a home. I was so fully disappointed in their actions because their actions revealed a heart condition, a pride based on ego mind and not on unity consciousness. And with that, I have issue. I also had a former friend in which I was doing quantum energy work with, who even after knowing the awareness of who I am, failed to recognize and understand the part that I play in unity consciousness for taking care of certain imbalances in our universal structure. For not understanding the role or the authority that I have been given in my speciality and with my twin flame to correct matters that are fact and have a direct bearing on our 3D matrix. I wish for everyone to come into their empowerment, into their mastery, into their acclaim of how they fit into the puzzle piece of creating the world that we all dream of moving from the end of one age and into another. And of seeing archonic rule for top-down powers that have created control rather than liberation. There are many things in my life that I have come to transmute, and many things that I have cut off for the sake of empowerment, for the sake of liberation, and for the sake of unity consciousness for all of humanity. And there are many people that even under certain awarenesses and certain spiritual awakenings have not come to see the full truth in understanding certain concepts and certain constructs that keep them in enslavement and scarcity consciousness and in disharmony, working with one another for the highest good, in alignment with the Christos and all of the dimensional realities that create harmony within one another. There are many times when I've had to lift the veil of ignorance to be able to see what was happening, the controls that are so well depicted in our movies, like The Wizard of Oz and The Man Behind the Curtain. The projections on the walls that are depicted so well in the philosophy and very real scenarios of Plato's cave. And when I see projections that do not reflect truth, that keep people under control, hypnotized to one paradigm without understanding a wider perspective or view. When I see things that are chaining people to certain realities like the many false media that come over the projections of our television in the black cube or the black mirror of our television to program people on channels, to mind control people with broadcasts, to think that people are actually choosing things that create safety, where they are actually chaining down people for the sake of control. I have an issue. I am all for the liberation, for the benevolency of angelic humanity to be realized, for the earth's ascension, and for man to come into unity consciousness that are based on truths, not on facades, not on copies of the original context, but are based on love, that are based on harmony, that have certain unalienable and universal truths that defy the chipping away of those things, because they stand in absolute truth for a mirrored universe and complex. I want people to realize that the DNA activations in their dormant DNA would unleash an Akashic record and certain inert powers that have always been their right, but to work out of harmony and love, not of discord. To manifest in a way that allows energy to be used for the highest good of all. These are the things that I continually pray for and hold in my heart. I do not consent to the DNA manipulation and to the aversions of mankind. To the eugenics programs to keep the population rate at a controllable state, but to realize a unified field in a heaven on earth, a consciousness that allows everyone to attain peace. That is what I hope for. And those are my daily prayers for mankind to realize in this lifetime. And as we move towards the end of a 26,000 cycle that is associated with the Vedic calendars and create the new age, the golden age, the Satya Yuga, may we realize effervescent truths within our own heart, our mind, our soul, our gut. And may we work with each other to create heaven on earth in the earth that we love to see. Rise.